Hello, if you've never seen me before, hi, my name is Youkeyy, and if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. If you have been kind of lurking around for a little bit, watching videos, yet you're not subscribed, my friend, lurk no more. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join the family. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys how I contour my nose. It's going to be a pretty detailed step-by-step process. This has been requested by a few of my subscribers who've mentioned that they kind of want more basic, beginner-friendly type techniques on how to do their makeup. I will be mentioning some brushes that I personally like to use. You can basically use whatever it is that you want. A lot of people contour differently. There's cream contouring, there's powder contouring, but today I'm going to be showing you how I powder contour. I feel like powder contouring is a bit more beginner friendly for someone who's just starting to learn how to contour their nose. So as you can tell, my nose is pretty bulbous, especially down here. I actually really like my nose. I don't have any issues with it, but when I do my makeup, I like to contour my nose so that the bridge of the nose appears to be a little bit more narrow. I'm not trying to change my nose shape per se, because I'll always have that bulbous like structure to my nose regardless of the amount of makeup that I put on or the amount of manipulating that I do with colors. But just a quick tip, when you're highlighting underneath your eyes, bringing the color of your under eye highlight a little further towards the nose will cause you to have a more narrow shape to your nose, which in turn, when you go in to apply your contour color, your nose will look snatched, essentially. Right now, I'm just color correcting, and tip number one is that if you have any hyperpigmentation or any discoloration around the nose area or anywhere on your face for that matter, you definitely want to address those areas and color correct. I've color corrected the sides of my nose right here, and that's because I have dark marks on those areas. If you have any dark areas on your nose and you fail to color correct it, sometimes your foundation and concealer may not fully cover those areas that are dark. What will happen is that you'll have these areas where there's a bit of inconsistency in the color, and that will definitely affect your results as far as nose contouring goes. And if you wear glasses like me, you might have these areas where there are indentations from the frame of the glasses. I noticed that those areas over time do get dark for me, so I also try to color correct that whenever I remember to. And for correctors, I'm using a combination of the LA Girl Pro correctors in the shades orange and peach. The reason I mix those two is because the orange is a bit too orange for me and the peach is a bit too pinkish for me. So I'm going to do my foundation, clean up my brows, apply some eyeshadow, and then we'll be back and get right into things. And we're back. I brought you guys a little bit closer so you can get a better view of what exactly it is that I'm doing. My foundation is on, so don't forget that I have not set it yet because we are going to highlight. The main thing about highlighting, especially when it's underneath the eyes and to the remaining areas of the face, is to make sure that you're not using a concealer that is too light. You want to go about 2 to 3 shades lighter than your natural skin tone. Some people do go lighter. I do go lighter, just saying, but it really just depends on how well everything is blended and the overall look. You don't really want a ghostly appearance to your face. I'm going to be using 2 concealers to highlight today. I'm going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape in the color Deep, as well as the LA Girl Pro Conceal in Cool Tan. So for the Tarte Shape Tape, I kind of apply it underneath the eye everywhere, but the LA Girl Pro Conceal, we will go directly to the innermost part where the nose is at. Because when light hits your face, the area that'll be highlighted the most is the center of the face. So under eye concealing definitely plays a role in your nose contour and how it will turn out. I applied a little bit more than I wanted to, but now I'm going to take the LA Girl Pro Conceal in Cool Tan, which is much lighter than the Tarte Shape Tape. I'm going to kind of start here and go towards the nose. And the reason you're bringing the concealer right to the bridge of the nose is so that you get that slimmer look that you want. And don't forget to hit the base of the nose as well down here, because if you stop your concealer right around here, it'll make your nose structure kind of look abnormal, having like this slim structure, and then all of a sudden, you know, the concealer stops. It'll make your nose look kind of boxy in a way. So I'm bringing this right here. So just by looking at this, you can kind of get the idea because we have this lighter color in contrast to my foundation shade. So that's going to give the illusion of a thinner bridge of the nose. As you can see, the closer you bring the concealer color to the very middle of your nose, the smaller your nose will appear, or the more narrow your nose will appear. Taking my damp Real Techniques complexion sponge, and I'm going to blend this concealer out. So whenever I'm blending out my concealer, I tend to do the eyes last because I'm prone to fine lines and creases directly underneath the eyes. So I don't want to really touch that just yet, and kind of letting it sit some more will really let the concealer settle into the skin. So we're just going to take our blending sponge and we're just going to go down the middle. You just want to go up and down until it's blended out. It's going to look a little crazy, but that's okay. So I do feel like I added a little bit too much concealer to the middle of the nose, and I took this a little too far to the middle, but we're going to fix that. I'm just going to pounce this and then press and roll. I think I let this dry a bit too much. We've got our concealer here by the nose, and we're just going to blend it out and take it up a little bit so you don't have that harsh line right here where the concealer stops. So you just want to extend it up just a little bit just to blend out that line. Usually I don't leave that small of a space in between, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to kind of show you guys like the exaggerated version of a nose contour. Normally at this point I would go in and correct this with a cream contour, but I'm just going to show you guys a powder contour only. I feel like cream contour is a bit more difficult for beginners to get a hold of. When I started contouring as someone who was experimenting with makeup, I started out with powder contour. And now for the secret weapon that will basically make or break your nose contour, which is setting powder. What I do next is I immediately take my damp cosmetic wedge. These are super duper cheap. You can find them basically anywhere. I take the cosmetic wedge and I dip it into my RCMA no color powder. I just take a tiny little bit of the product on there. And the reason being is because I'm not going to bake underneath my eye. I'm just going to pat it in until the powder disappears. And I'm just going to bake the sides of the nose. And what that will do is really cause this center part to protrude and these areas back here to recede backwards. So it's all about lights and shadows. By baking here, it's going to make the area kind of look like it's sitting further back, if that makes sense. And that way the bridge of your nose will really look narrow and snatched. And I'm just patting this in repeatedly. The reason I don't bake underneath my eye directly is because that area tends to kind of get dry for me. And this is why I love using the cosmetic wedges, because it's got sharp edges, so you can use it for basically any part of your face. And I like to use this side, which is a little bit flatter, and as you can see, it's pretty thin. So I just dip this into the RCMA no color powder and I go right down the bridge of the nose. So it doesn't have to be a perfect line, but it does need to kind of be centered enough to where your nose won't look all crooked. And then taking one of the sides of the cosmetic wedge, just adding some of that RCMA no color powder, and I'm gonna go right here. Boom, bam. So by doing that, it's gonna cause this part of my nose to kind of fall back a little bit. The reason I say fall back is because when light hits it, it's not going to show up as a shadow. It's gonna show up as a flat surface. Although you'll still see some of your nose, because I mean, it's an object that's poking out of your face. And by baking that area, it'll really make it look like your nose is flat on the sides. So I'm just gonna do the same thing on the other side. So remember, contouring is all about lights and shadows. Light here, shadow here, light here, shadow here, light here. What we're doing is we're creating the illusion of a thinner, more narrow nose. You don't have to take your powder all the way to the extent that I've done. You just take it to wherever it is that you want it to stop. I'm just saying that before I used to stop here and then it just started looking funny. Like it started to look as though I had a larger nose than I actually did. And what I would do back then was I would also apply my contour powder all here, and it really made my nose look much larger than it really is. I'll actually put a photo up for you guys to see because it is not a good look. And that was back in like what, 2014 or so. So just to let you know, it's really just all about practice, and that will lead to progress. It's gonna sweep this off. Most people like to bake for about 5 minutes or so. I usually don't bake for that long. I just let it sit for maybe 1 to 2 minutes and then it comes off. We're looking a little bit powdery. That's nothing to worry about because later on we are going to be spraying our face with some setting spray, and that will get rid of the powdery look. So I'm going to use my all over face powder to other areas of my face, and this is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Dark. Sometimes what I like to do is I like to apply just a little bit of my face powder directly underneath the eyes just to bring some color back. And now for the fun part, which is the powder contour, I'm going to be using my Covergirl Queen Ebony Bronzer. The kind of brush you use to contour your nose basically just depends on you. The brush that I like to use is from Lit Cosmetics. It's their round brush and it looks like this. Now, you don't have to use a brush like this. You can use something smaller. You can use a shader brush to blend out your contour. It's totally up to you. And you want to use a very, very, very light hand. So I'm just going to take this and very lightly, like I'm barely touching my skin, very lightly go down. I'm going to extend this up towards the eyebrows because naturally if you look at your face, there's, and I don't want to call it a line, but there appears to be a connection between the side of your nose and the area directly underneath your eyebrow. I'm just going to fan this out a little bit. And I also like to go right underneath. So I'm going to get rid of any excess product on my brush. I'm going to go back and blend. And another trick, if you make a mistake and let's say you go too far out with the contour color, you can actually take your setting powder and just dab over that area with your cosmetic wedge or with your brush and just let that kind of sit and bake for a little bit. And what that'll do is it'll take away some of that darkness that you didn't mean to place on that pot, on that spot. For extra measure to make sure you're very well blended, you can go ahead and grab a clean blending brush that you use for your eyes or for anywhere else. Just something that's small enough to really get to this area and just blend it out. Now that that is done, it is time to lock everything in, meaning it is time for me to bathe in setting spray. And I'll be using the Milani Make It Last setting spray. As you can see, the appearance of that powdery look has definitely gone down. I'm going to grab one of my highlighters. This is the Gerard Cosmetics Star Powder in the color Lucy, and it looks like so. So we're going to take a tiny little brush. I'm grabbing a liner brush from Lit Cosmetics. This is no longer sold. Same with the round brush. So sorry, but any small tiny little brush will do. And go right here in the middle. And just try to be precise as much as you can when going down the bridge of the nose. Once I've applied it, I just blend it out with a finger. So there you have it. I'm just going to highlight the other areas that I want to highlight and then hopefully do my eyeliner and come back. Alright guys, we are all done with the look, and in case you're wondering, on my lips I have on the Gerard Cosmetics Hydra Matte Liquid Lipstick, and this one is in the shade Iced Mocha. I don't have any lashes on, so I decided to be a little or a lot more adventurous with my eyeliner today. As you can see here, the nose does appear to be smaller. Again, it's all about playing around with lights and shadows. And do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to your girl. Follow me on social media, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. And I will see you in the next one, Lord willing. Stay blessed. Bye.